everyone. Welcome to another episode of Paranormal Coffee Talk. And I'm Crystal.
I'm Carol.
We are so excited to be back. Last week was a mess. I was not feeling well. It hit me and my youngest. So we did not get to make it last week. So we decided to bring Jill on. But before we bring her on, we wanted to go through some of our upcoming events. We actually have our Blakely Ghost Hunt, and that's going to be April 19th from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. It's $20 per person. And Historic Blakely State Park, it's going to be actually at the battlefield. So we will have this tremendously large battlefield to investigate. There are camping sites available and squirrel nests available there at the state park for you to rent. They have RV sites as well. All of the cabins are currently booked up. So we are just going to be camping primitively for that night. So everybody grab your tickets if you are in Spanish Fort, Alabama, or near Spanish Fort, Alabama. I mean, you can even drive over from Louisiana. Like, it's not that far. It's like 3 hours from Denham. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're super excited to be able to be the host of this ghost hunt at Fort Blakely Battlefield in Spanish Fort. And so we're super excited to have that coming up soon. We also have an upcoming investigation with Mid-Tennessee and Ghost Girl Gina. That's going to be taking place on April the 13th. So we're super excited. We have been planning this for such a long time. We have been trying to get investigations in the books with Mid-Tennessee, Mid-10 Paranormal, and as well as Gina, Ghost Girl. So we're super excited to have them down in this great state of Alabama at Pauley Jail. So we have a lot coming up. We have Scared City Presents High Nation Horror Show coming up in July in Paragould, Arkansas. And then we also have another Paracon that we decided to add to the books for our October, for our fall. And we will be in Rock Island, Illinois at the Haunted Rock Island Roadhouse Paracon. And so our Haunted Roadhouse, Rock Island.
That was a lot of words.
Y'all got to bear with me. So I haven't got the tongue twister of the new one down yet.
That's what I was going to say. It's a tongue twister.
Yeah. So we have so many awesome friends that are going to be there. And then we wanted to go ahead and tell you guys about our sponsorship tiers. We have 3 tiers where you can sponsor Paranormal Coffee Talk. We have a 25, a 60, and a 150. And be sure to message us if you would like to sponsor our Paranormal Coffee Talk. And each one of those tiers gives you a little more advertisement on our podcast. And we also have, we share the podcast out to multiple platforms and multiple streaming. So we just make sure you reach out to us and we will talk to you about our sponsorship tiers. But that is not exactly why we're here tonight. We have a wonderful guest here who is going to be telling us about 2 of her properties and her paranormal experiences and investigations over, I think it was almost 2 decades that she's been investigating. So she's had experiences most of her life. And we are going to play a little intro and then we're going to bring her on the screen. We have Jill Shelley here, y'all. Boyd House. And she's also got our new property, and we're going to let her talk about that as well. Welcome, Jill. We are so excited. We have been planning this for a while.
Hi, guys. Good to be here.
Definitely, definitely. How's the weather up your way? Because down here in the South, we're just getting hit with doozies. So,
Yeah, it's been great. I live in Minnesota, so usually it's freezing cold or tons of snow, and we've been having like the 60s. It's been a crazy winter.
yeah, we didn't have a really bad winter. Like, we had some cold snaps, but it's actually getting cold again.
At
And
night.
we're gonna have, and I guess it's not cold because it's more like springtime in the north. It's like 60s and lows in the 40s. So
That's freezing to me. That's
that's
cold.
freezing down here in the South. So, but hi Stan, and Teresa, Deep South Para Comic Con, and they are down in Ozark, Alabama. We were actually at Deep South Para Comic Con last year in August. So thank you guys for tuning in. And Josh, he's actually going to be with us at Blakely on the 19th. Mobile Paranormal. And then we have our lovely friends, Haunting Angels. We have investigated with them. Absolutely love those ladies. And then David from the Omen House. So it is going to be a great show. So let's start off with, tell us, Jill, how you got started in the paranormal. How did you decide you were going to start your team?
Well, I've always been kind of fascinated by ghosts and weird things as a small child, so I was just one of them weird kids. Kind of had one of my first experiences at my grandma's house, where there was a room that I never really liked. I always kind of felt like something was there.
Mhm.
I didn't want you there. One particular night, I woke and I heard footsteps coming out of that room, and it stopped at my bedroom door. I had my back to the door, and I could just like feel it staring through me. And I was too scared to turn around because I was probably, I don't know, maybe like 8. But then it just kind of sighed and then turned around and walked the other way. I knew it wasn't my parents because they were snoring in the next room. But I mentioned it to my grandma the next day, who sleeps downstairs, and she just nonchalantly, like, "Oh my gosh, honey, that's just a ghost. He won't hurt you." So it's like, wow, grandma's just kind of blowing this off to like nothing. Like this is,
No big deal.
you know. So I think it just kind of fueled my passion a little bit more of wanting to know a little bit more about the spirit world and ghosts in general. So, back then we didn't have the internet, so just kind of reading at the library, watching anything that you would find that would come on TV, documentaries and things like that. Um, but with the advent of the television shows coming out, the Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures, you're like, oh my gosh, this is something you can like really do this. And there was actually a guy at work that was into it, and me and him decided to form our group, ST.Croix Paranormal, and that was in 2010.
Oh, wow.
And we just started out just doing like local homes and some businesses. And then we decided, hey, let's go out, hit the road, and go to these, we call them the pay to play places.
Mhm.
And so our first investigation we drove to was the Velisca Axe Murder House. So we went and checked it out. So if people don't know the history on that, there was 8 people that were murdered, 6 children, 2 adults with an axe, and they never found the killers. So the house is definitely very, very haunted, but it was a really cool first experience to the, really well-known haunted locations.
That's amazing. And so, you guys you started the St. Croix Paranormal in 2010. And what is one location that you've investigated at that just, I have to go back. I have to investigate this location more and more and try to get to the bottom of it. Do you have a location like that?
I wouldn't say much like we have to go back a lot. I do. We have been to Edinburgh Manor in Iowa probably 3 or 4 times. I just like the activity that we get there. I think for me, one of the really cool experiences that we had is we were kind of in one of the playrooms, and we were having interaction with, what we were being told was a child, just based on some of the questions we were asking the little girl.
Mm-hmm.
But when we were done, I got this really clear EVP because I was like, good night, we're going to bed now. And it was this little girl that says, I'm going to miss you. And it was just like that. I just like really like had to go back and try to connect with her, and I never have when I go back there. So I don't know if maybe she's moved on or I'm just not connecting with her that anymore. But that's just one of my favorite places to go. She always gets something. It's just a good place.
Yeah, and I think like even for Carol and I, you know, the places when you connect with a child, it's and you can confirm that it is of course a child, it just tugs at your heartstrings. You just want to know, you know, what their reasoning is. Why haven't they moved on? And what is it they want to tell us? And I think that's even something that we've experienced even over in Savannah was you know, we actually interacted quite often with little Ben at the Savannah Theater, and he loved the toys that we brought for him. So, you know, it just kind of it wants you to come back. And, you know, I feel like, you know, that's one of our things is we love interacting with the children's spirits.
Yeah, and same with us too, you know, like when you bring in the toys and the trigger objects and things and playing games, because we get in there and we, you know, do Ring Around the Rosie, we do it all. But I kind of feel like, you know, yeah, I'm not able to make that spirit move on, but maybe I'm brightening its day, you know, for a little while.
Exactly.
That's kind of the way I look at it.
Exactly. And, you know, and it's definitely how we feel, you know, we go in there and we may not get the answers, but at least we're talking to them, because you don't know when the last time someone acknowledged them and was nice to them and actually wanted to carry a conversation with them, and them intellectually carrying a conversation back with you. So
Right.
that's awesome. What kind of equipment do you guys use mostly on investigations?
Well, you know, we have everything pretty much that's available.
That's it. You
There you
have
go.
everything, and then there's just like a couple of things you ever actually use. I know
Right.
you bring a ton of stuff, and there's probably 3 things we actually use.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I love the spirit box, like any different kinds, portals, whatever. I just love the science behind it. But we've been more getting into doing the Estes method. And Teresa, one of my teammates, and she's very receptive to the spirits. She's had many psychics just come up to her and go, "Oh my God, the draw and the aura you have, it's amazing." And so she's been kind of doing some studying and kind of trying to harbor a little bit more of her energy. But doing the Estes session with her, I have never seen anybody Estes. Like we can have a half-hour conversation with the spirit to the exact way I'm having a conversation with you. We find out so many things. They'll even like, I'll yawn and they're like, "No yawning, it's too early." It's like, how does she know I'm blindfolded? Like we've had one where she's like, "Get up and dance," and so then I'd be like, you know, kicking to the left and the right, and she doesn't even know I'm doing this, but then she'd say left, right, left, right.
Oh, wow.
So it's
That's
like,
amazing.
just
Yeah.
amazing stuff like that. And
That makes it quite interesting.
I have never seen anybody Estes like that. I'm sure there's somebody else out there. You know, for the most part, you see people say maybe a word or two, a couple things that are relative, but literally for her, it is an amazing conversation. Like I've had to go get Diet Cokes for people, and you know they just ask for stuff, and so we go get things based on what she's saying. So yeah, it's just amazing.
That is awesome. We love the Estes method. We use that quite frequently. And, you know, we've had some very awesome experiences with that. You know, being a 2-person team for the most part, up until January, you know, we would do the Estes method, and it was almost like we were having a conversation.
Oh yeah,
even though we were in separate rooms. Or we did an Estes method with haunting angels, and apparently this person did not want a friend of ours come in there. She called him by his full name, and he said,
Didn't want him
"Yes,
in the
I'm
door."
here," you know, and she said, "Leave now." So, you know, we get some very you know, very curious spirits, and then we get some very demanding spirits. But we definitely we love the Estes method. It's definitely one of our favorites.
yeah,
Definitely.
mine too. Yeah, and then you know we like the REM pod. That's really another fun one.
Carol's got some REM pods in stock right now. She actually just made a new one.
Yeah, we have a new one
that
now.
you can actually hold in the flat in your palm.
See
That
if
we
can-
are going to be So that's our newest edition. You guys
Yeah.
watch out at the upcoming Paracons because we will have these. We're just tweaking it a little bit, trying to get some more stuff done, but you can
And we'll
actually
have
hold
an
it in the palm
antenna
of
on
your
the
hand and
outside.
walk around as long as you don't touch the sides. So it's pretty awesome. But yeah, we always have our trusty REM pods. I mean, that's how we started out when we started making our paranormal equipment, was with our REM pods. So we love those. Now let's talk about my favorite part of this, the historical part. So we have, I went ahead and put together a slideshow. So we will start with your newest edition, and it's the haunted 1861 Masonic Lodge. So tell everybody a little bit about it, other than what I put on the side there.
Yeah, actually, I just found out it was they started building it in like 18, I think it was 58, and then they ran out of money, so then it took a little while.
So it wasn't completed until 61.
Until 61, and then I recently found something that it was a hotel first before it became the Masonic Lodge. So what I have
very common
on my deed showing that it was 1909, I believe, is when the first showed up as a Masonic Lodge to my deed knowledge.
Yeah.
So yeah, we haven't found like any deaths or anything like that in the lodge, but obviously with the history of the Masons and such.
Exactly. You would not, a lot of things we just don't know. And that's how, the Freemasons have kept it and will forever keep it. But they have amazing records. And that's one thing that I truly can say about the Freemasons is they keep a great, great deal of records. So, 4,000 square feet of building. And, this is your newest property, and it is actually in Illinois, correct?
Yep, Keithsburg, Illinois.
Awesome.
It's got to be exciting to own a building like that.
It is. It is. We'll talk about the other property too. It started as a house, but then I always kind of wanted to move up to a bigger one. And just I came across the lodge. I wasn't really planning on having it in a different, very, very far away state. But I saw this picture and I was just like, oh my gosh, I just like totally have to have this. And I think it was kind of meant to be because it was on the market for a very, very long time. But like when I first tried one realtor, she couldn't find it at all.
Oh, wow.
And then I found another one and she searched and searched and searched and she said it was listed very weirdly, but she was able to find it. And then even when we got there, we couldn't get in because the padlock wasn't working. And then my husband was going to go next door to get a screwdriver to take the lock off. And while he was doing that, she's on the phone with the owner trying to figure out if there's a different way. And I had already watched her pull on this padlock 100 times. I just walked up there and kind of tapped on it and it popped open.
So it was meant to be.
Yeah, definitely meant to be.
Yeah, and we did get a couple EVPs. One was like a whisper that says, "I can see you."
Oh, wow.
And then we heard which was interesting, we heard a voice. We were just basically, as you can see in the picture, just kind of standing outside on the steps there. And there was nobody outside at the time. But I got a little kid's voice that said body. And I was like, well, that's...
I just want to make sure I got this right.
So then I just...
Me as the pay, I'm going to have a 1099A.
You can go ahead, Jill. That's her husband in the background. He ain't stopped talking yet.
But then I decided, okay, well, that's kind of weird that there'd be children here.
Sorry about that.
We went back. I brought some kids' toys and stuff, and we had like the EMF lantern go off, and there's no power in the building. Mm-hmm. We got an EVP that said you brought toys. And so, yeah, so it was really kind of exciting that we got that. And later we had an Estes session of a little boy that came through, and his friend Mark is there too, and who was like 10. Mm-hmm. It was interesting because he described his death. He said that he said we figured fever, but he said he was hot like fire. And then he said he had sores all over him. So we don't know if maybe he had chicken pox or maybe scarlet fever. but that little boy described that he wanted some toys and a horse and a truck, and so we got all that stuff, and so we're bringing that to him. So yeah, it's just
That's
crazy.
awesome. That's really awesome. Have you found like these locations, such as your newest one here, the Masonic Lodge, that it took time for them to be able to figure out how to use equipment and to manipulate the equipment to be able to interact with you?
Surprisingly, at this lodge, no, they were pretty quick and very receptive to the REM pods going off, because we get those going off quite a bit. The tripwires, EMF detectors. I've had doorknob shake. I've had a cupboard slam. We've heard footsteps. We catch a lot of EVPs. So very, very quick to respond. Of course, I told them what everything was and explained stuff as well, versus the Boyd House, where it really took a couple months to get them used to things. So yeah, the lodge they're very excited to talk to people.
That's awesome.
They really want to.
I know I'm sitting here going, oh, we got to go. We got to go.
Yeah, we might actually, I will get with Louisiana Spirits, and we may actually come up there either before or after, if we can work it in and do some investigating there at the lodge. I mean, it's up in Illinois where we're going to be at. So,
close by.
Yeah, it's only like 2 hours from the Paracon that we're actually going to be at in October. And Jill's actually going to be there at the Haunted Rock Island Roadhouse Paracon in Rock Island, Illinois. So we might actually have to try and make this happen. That would be
sure. That'd be cool.
A lot of fun.
Sounds very active.
Yeah, definitely. So as far as the Masonic Lodge, can they book it on the website?
Yeah. If you go to the website, the haunted1861masonic.com, that has all your information there in our calendar, what's available, a few pictures and things like that. So whatever people's looking for, we give everybody a real nice allotted time. We let them come in at 3 p.m. to noon the very next day. So it gives people a lot of time. Just want people to note too that we don't have any currently. We will get these amenities down eventually, but we don't have any power, electric, or running water at this point. And we do have a porta potty available for people. But through everybody coming in with their investigations, this is really going to help restore and get this building back to what it once was. It does definitely, being in 1861, needs a lot of work. We need to put a new roof on. We need to replace all the windows. So I kind of feel like doing some of the stuff like the electric and heat are things that are amenities that can wait. The building to stay stable.
Exactly, and to restore structurally and soundly for safety, because we investigate most of the year in very primitive locations, and
primitive.
Yeah, like we don't have to worry about electricity tripping an EMF meter or causing a REM pod to go off, or we have nothing that's interfering with our investigation. And so that's why we just really enjoy these what we call primitive investigations, because we know that there's nothing there that's going to interfere, because there's nothing, there's no electricity, there's no running water. So, nobody's going to be flushing a toilet and you're going to be like, oh, what was that moan that we just heard?
Right. Yeah, I'm still kind of torn on the electricity thing, because I'm like you said, with the EMF and stuff, it's a no-brainer when it goes off, because we go at other locations and we have power. I'm like, is it?
Yeah.
So it's like, but when it goes off here, like we, I've been given a lot of Masonic items. I've had people where their grandfathers or whatever were Masons. They've passed on, so they've given me some of their apparel, or they've given me a lot of the books and things. And so I've brought those, and we have a China hutch now that we're filling up with Masonic items. And I put a K2 meter in there. And again, no power in the building. It's inside of a wooden China hutch, and it starts hitting off to the red.
Oh, wow.
So I hear just like, now normally if we had power, I'd be like, maybe it's coming through the wall, but obviously we don't have any power. So it's pretty cool when it goes off. I feel confident in saying, yes, that is accurate.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that, I think, like even Sean just said, it's fun with no power. It really is. We feel like, even your senses, when you're doing like the Estes method, doing Estes method in a building that doesn't have any power or any electricity, and you are like all of your senses are so, in deprivation that you don't have a train, or you don't have all of these things that are around that could be causing all of these. We have really found that during the Estes method, when you get deep into that state of mind and listening, you get some amazing results during an Estes method. And I think that also goes into play when you have no power, and you're like, there's without a doubt there's nothing here that could be causing that.
It wasn't the refrigerator.
No refrigerator, no microwaves, or
Ceiling fan.
yeah, exactly. So I really think that I like the no power thing. And Jamie Lynn said, I'm really looking forward to being at the lodge.
Yes, I have heard
at the lodge twice this year. So that's awesome, Jamie Lynn. Thank you for tuning in.
Jealous.
Yeah. Look forward to hopefully she can share with me what she finds, because
definitely.
My favorite part of owning the building is to see what others get, or to hear what other people get. Like I like read. We have a guest book. I'll have one as well for the lodge. I have one for the Boyd House, so people frequently write in their experiences. People send me their videos, or I just go on YouTube and I search for stuff because I just love seeing what they get. Or for me too, like when I go back to, like, say, the Boyd House, I'll be like, hey, I saw Jeff caught you doing this and that. You must have thought that was fun. So I kind of get a little rapport, and I think they kind of like that.
I like the guest books. We always, if we rent like an Airbnb, we're always reading through the guest book.
Oh yeah.
See what happens. See if we have anything to talk about.
Exactly. Like what happened. And a lot of times in these historic locations that when we go to Paracons or we're out of town, we always support locally. And we always try to stay in a location locally to support as well the Airbnb or a B&B or any historic trust that might be there. So we definitely try our best to do that in these locations. So we definitely, hi, Sean. He was just up there, but so being able to give back when we're traveling is a big deal to us. And, being able to help preserve historic properties is also, something that's really dear to us. So the Boyd House.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Boyd House. This is a charming house. It was built in 1901. And it does have amenities where you haven't at the Masonic Lodge. They don't, but the Boyd House does. And I know you and I have spoke about some of the things that you've experienced there, but this was your first one. This was the first one that you were like, I'm getting this house.
Yes. It's my baby. So doing all the traveling is really how I decided that I wanted to have my own location. So 2018, financially, I was able to do that. So I just kind of did some like searching on the MLS, but and I did go investigate other houses and places I looked at. We did get some minimal activity, but I didn't get that this is the one feel. But when I came across Boyd, I was like, I knew that was the one house for me. I kind of almost became obsessed about it before I looked at it. And then when we got there, the realtor was running late, and my teammate Donna was sitting next to me, and I felt like something was staring at me. And she just said, I feel like something's staring at you. And I'm like, yep, right out that attic window. So we kind of got that feel right away. But when we went in there, my red pods went off in about 8 minutes. What we now call the library that I've turned that into. And then you just kind of felt like someone was there. And then we did get on the spirit box. We got a woman saying, "Who are you?" And then and a couple other little things. So then I was kind of like, well, is that enough to like go forward and buy it? So I reached out to a medium that I really trusted, and she said a lot of things that came true after I bought the house. That there were men, women, and children there. Just some crazy stuff. And so I went ahead and I purchased it. Pretty much everything she told me came true. People who live in town were telling me ghost stories that maybe they knew the family and they had spent the night there. So it goes back a long way of people getting like touched or seeing shadow figures or men in the house. But yeah, it's got a long history to the house. Like I said, it was built in 1901, but our deed goes back to 1889 when it was owned by the St. Louis Minneapolis Railroad. The town is butted up against the Sioux Dakota reservation line, so I'm sure there was some conflicts at some point with that. The house itself is kitty corner from town, so it's really pretty much the first house in town. Because the house that you see in the background, that used to be the blacksmith shop.
Okay.
The blacksmith shop would have been. So in 1912, as well, we've had a couple people in there before them, nothing major with that family. But 1912 is when Fred and Minnie Eckhart moved into the home with their children. He owned a very fancy dry goods store in town, and they sold kind of high end things, fur coats and shoes and the higher end food stuff. And he was also very big in town, so he was like on the fire department. He and his brother and his father helped build a Lutheran church. He was on the school board. He was justice of the peace. So very, very well known family in town. They both passed away in the home, and Minnie's funeral was held in the home. Actually, where those three windows are that you can see that kind of pop out, that's where her casket was.
Oh, wow.
And they both died. Two of their children died in the home. One was in infancy, one choked to death when he was about 2.
Oh,
Yeah, so then we do have some childlike activity. I don't believe it's their children. I don't know where these children come from because they seem more like they're between 8 and 12 years of age. So I don't know. I've been told that they just like it there. So that's why they stay. But I think doing a lot of the things that we do at the Boyd House, plus we restored it back to the 1900s era. So we put up all the old Victorian wallpaper. We have a lot of antiques in the house, so there could be attachments with that. We have some haunted objects in the house, and I think just doing what we do kind of brings in some of the energy to the place.
Mom wants to know how you can control vandalism.
Security cameras.
That's good, because that is definitely something that is, that we've called a location that we've investigated multiple times. They were like, we're not allowing anybody in here for investigations. You have to have a tour guide and be with somebody who works here or owns the location, or you will not go in because of vandalism and then vandalizing these locations. The Samuel Mudd House up in Maryland, I tend to go back to that house because, pre-Rona, we were able to investigate, but people were sneaking into these locations and vandalizing these locations in Maryland. And they just finally said, nope. And which ruined it for everyone. Because for some reason, people, like to trespass and without permission or getting permission for these locations. And, we try to tell people, like, number one, if you're going to a location, have permission. So, and number two, don't vandalize these places. People put a lot of time and effort and making sure that they're readily accessible for us to go in and investigate, which is more so now than what it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Carol and I have been investigating for 22 years, and it was a lot harder to get a location 20 years ago than it is today.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah, we did have some problems inside the home, actually. So that's what I didn't really want to put the security cameras in, but we did. And since then, we really don't have any issues, and we get alerted if there's anything going on. So
Do you tend to get things inside the house on the security cameras when you're not there, or?
I wish, like, usually if you see front door, back door, it's usually 9 times out of 10 it's a bug or an animal running through or something. But so when a couple times I've gotten like in the attic or the parlor, I'm like, oh, because I know nobody's staying there, and I'll go look and I see nothing, and I'm just like, oh, what was it? Like, maybe a fly did it real fast and I didn't see that, but it would be really cool if I actually captured something. We've had one paranormal team. A lot of people have seen like shadows and like a man standing there. But we did actually have one team capture 2 shadows, which I believe, just based on the height of it, was probably like that 8 and 12-year-old child, because you saw one go and then the second one go. And it was in the kitchen, where a lot of people say they had been seeing shadows and stuff. And I've woken up in the middle of the night and I'll hear the kitchen cabinets banging, and they're metal cabinets. They're like from the 1950s, the old cabinets.
Beautiful.
You'll hear those bang and stuff. So yeah, just I've heard voices. We've had the whole team was sleeping downstairs. I slept upstairs, and it's the old floor grates in the home, so you can hear what's going on the other floor. And I woke up in the morning and I was like, oh, what a nice morning. Just gonna lay here, just kind of wake up. It was pretty peaceful. And then I started hearing women talking, and I was like, oh, the girls are up. I'm gonna go downstairs. So I go downstairs and they're all sleeping.
Oh,
Sounds like our old house in Alabama.
Yeah, it's that residual noise that you can sometimes get in locations as well. It's going back to leaving that impression that they have on these locations, such as the stone tape theory. So it's pretty interesting to just wake up and hear a conversation, and everything is set up as if it was they were preparing for breakfast, and the
Right.
cabinets are open, and let's set the table, because it's they're just in this loop of that's what they did. So in the Boyd house, this was the first one you purchased, and you have kept the historical integrity all the way down to the furniture. As I was looking through the website and looking at the photos, that attic has some really strange energy going on. It did give me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies in the attic space. So tell us what part of this house that you have experienced the most, activity. Yes.
Oh gosh, I get stuff everywhere. It really depends on the day. Really, like sometimes you'll find them more active in the basement, the main level. Just depends what's going on. I tend to interact with them, because I'm there. When I'm there, I'm cleaning and stuff, which is something normally when you're investigating you don't have to do. But I usually have a voice recorder running at all times. So I'm usually rambling on and talking about things, or what happened last week, or one time I was like, I'm going to a wedding. I just kept talking. I was just la 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 la. And then played back the voice recorder. I get this old woman that says, I'm trying to sleep. Oh, she just shut up.
Sorry.
Let's go away. I'm trying to sleep.
It just depends on the day. I think one of my favorite experiences, I would think, I found out that they really like to play cards. And I actually watched somebody in the basement, which gave me the idea that they played the game of 21 with a K2 meter. And amazingly, these spirits are really good at the game of 21 with a K2 meter. So they will use it to hit or stay. Depending. Usually, I just say if you want to hit the meter. If not, we're going to stay. So they do really, really well. I one time even ran the spirit box, and I said, they had a good hand. I'm like, what do you want to do? You want to split? You want to stay? What do you want to do? And played and stayed. Said, we'll stay.
Oh, wow.
So they did that, but what that particular day they were hitting the REM pod in the middle of the table quite often. I'd come down and I'd shuffle the cards, and I'd kind of play a hand or two with them. But I put one card off to the side, like just right to the edge, not hanging off at all, just right to the edge of the table. And I just told them, like, if you've had fun tonight, just push that card off. Just let me know. So I said that every time. And then for the last time when I went to bed at like midnight, I was just like, hey, appreciate it if you just toss it off again, and we'll know we had fun tonight. I got up in the morning. I walked down, and that card was laying on the floor, and I actually captured it on film. So I was really excited.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, so I guess they really enjoyed that. So it was kind of nice making that connection, that, I said, hey, throw it off if you've had fun. I do try to interact with them a lot. When I'm there, I don't investigate as much because I feel like they really get it, all the weekends and weeks when people come. Yes, I do put some stuff out. Yeah, I will run a spirit box, but I don't constantly
Yeah.
investigation. I'm usually just
Like
kind of
give them their breaks, we
give them
all
their
need it.
space.
So I'm sure they do too.
they still do stuff when I'm there. Obviously, they'll hit the REM pods. A lot of times I bring them. I'm just weird. I go shop. I go to antique shops a lot, and I find it weird that I'm always shopping for dead people because I'm like, oh my god, the kids would love this, or Fred and Minnie would love.
I have a feeling that I would be doing the same exact thing.
Yeah, yeah. We bring stuff. And so a lot of times then I'll bring a REM pod by it, say, hey, look what I got you. If you really like it, can you just hit it? And usually they do, for the most part. And I do know one of their grandsons live in town. So they told me that Minnie really liked ferns. And so we got her a fake fern plant. She really liked that. So then we moved it. We kind of made a mini shelf. So like all these little fun gifts and knickknacks we've got her, we put it on the shelf for her. There was one particular day I was cleaning that shelf, and as I lifted up the plant, I kind of heard this electronic-y type voice. I didn't quite make it out, but it was like 2 words. I was like, what? And I thought, what did Teresa just turn on a spirit box? Because she was in the kitchen working. And then, so it was all really fast. And I just said, what? And she's like, I didn't say anything. She's like, I thought you said leave it.
Oh,
So, I was saying that as I picked that up, but it was weird that we both picked up something
yeah.
at the same time. But, we thought it was one or the other doing something.
I feel like there's like a grandma spirit in this house, and she's like, leave it. I'm trying to sleep. Go
Yeah.
away, Like,
Yeah.
I get this feeling that it's like a grandmother, like, "Rah,"
Well, it was like
I'm
when we
old,
were
leave
at
me
the
be.
when we were at the antique store and we moved the rug. She didn't like that. You remember that?
Yeah,
In the
yeah.
antique house.
She's like, put that back.
Put that
I'm like,
back.
Put that back. But I think that it does sound like there's a grandma spirit there.
Yeah, and we did actually have a lady die too. I think she was in her 80s or something. She just had a heart attack or stroke or something. So nothing,
Nothing traumatic, but
and I'm not saying that she's still there. It's ironic we get the name Fred a lot, or we'll say Fred's here, Fred's coming. We'll get that a lot. But every time I ask what the woman's name is, I have never actually officially been given that person's name. So I don't really 100% know if Minnie's actually there. I feel like she's there though, just because Fred's there as well. So
Yeah.
I do think, like, has there been any additions added on to the Boyd house since its original structure, or is it exactly the same as it was when it was built?
no, it's a little bit different. We've gotten some pictures of it back in the 1900s. So like the back porch where you can kind of see the steps, there's a little bit of addition on there.
Yeah. Okay.
On the behind it on the side, that's a little bit different. The front porch has been added on to because there used to be a big stained glass that's in what now would be the parlor, but back in the day that went just directly to outside.
Mm-hmm.
But you can kind of see where the masking of the mudding is, where it would have been.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I know that they kind of remodeled a little bit because a grandson came over and he said, oh, these didn't have the arches in them, and we used to have a wood pillars here. So just a little bit. So there has been a little bit of change.
But yeah, for the most part, it's kept its historical integrity, and that's that's the best part. I know for me, architecturally and as a historian, to watch these locations, and they've changed a little bit, But for the most part, they've got a kitchen where they didn't have one before, or, they've added on a mud room where they didn't have one before. But for the most part, they've kept the historical integrity of the home. And to me, that just, it makes me happy to see that.
Yeah, it's really cool. We have a lot of still of the natural woodwork is still there. So like the floors, the doors, it's even got, even the old doorknobs and stuff. So yeah, it's got a lot of the natural integrity. It's got that split stairwell too, where you can come up on one side or the other, meet in the middle.
Oh,
And then
wow.
So I love that. That's like my favorite part of the house.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And it does. Did you find any when you purchased the house, like any hidden things? Because I know that's what I like to watch on TikTok is when they buy these historic locations and you find something under the floorboard. What could it be?
Yeah, nothing cool and exciting. It was pretty cleared out when we got it, so we haven't like lifted up any floors or punched out any walls or anything. It was kind of fun though when we did what I think they had it as a bedroom, but we now made it like a library. When we pulled up the tile, it was 4 or 5 years, decades of different things, and so you could tell when we get to the 50s and when we got to the 40s and when we got
that's cool.
So that was
like
kind of fun.
When you're peeling wallpaper off and you go through all the decades.
Yep. So I took a picture every layer. I'm like, there we go. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm just gonna say that, if you get a location and you need me to like come and scout the location with you to see if you find anything, like if it's like a Pandora's box, though, I'm not opening it. That's all you, Jill.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the lodge for sure. For that, it's probably more like buried in the walls or something. The only thing I did find there was I found like a ticket to a play that must have been at one of the lodges because it was either for the lodge or for the Eastern Star, which is another form of the Masonics, the women's section.
Yeah.
And I found all the skeleton keys. So there was a closet that was locked. So I bought a universal skeleton key and opened it. And then I was just kind of cleaning and I ran my hand up and I heard ting. And I was like, oh, what's this? And then there was a nail behind there and there was like 10 different skeleton keys on there.
Oh, that's awesome.
All the woodwork in the lodge as well is pretty much still natural. They've done some different stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's got these beautiful glass doors that open like that, both on each sides. And just the stairwell and all the natural woodwork. It's just amazing. I just love it.
Yeah. This we're excited. We're gonna have to plan this. We may get to the Masonic Lodge. We may get to the lodge this year, and hopefully we can get to the Boyd House next year because these locations, as I was creating the videos and going through all of the information that you have on the websites, and I even dug a little bit into some newspapers, but that's just the historian in me. They have such a rich history. Are they on the National Registry or are they going to be on the National Registry?
I know the lodge was, but with the previous owner, they had it with the Historical Society National Registry. No longer with that. The reason I personally would do it is I know they're very strict on some renovations and things that you do. And I don't know, call me a free spirit, but I like to do what I want. So... But I do
blame you.
I do try to keep the history alive. So for like the Boyd House, we have a really nice book put together. We have a lot of family photos donated from their grandchildren. They contacted me and gave me a lot of family photos, a lot of stories, personal stories about their grandparents. So it's all written out, typed out nice. We've got a lot of stuff from Ancestry. So it kind of touches a lot of base history and some town history too. We have a book that the town had put out from 1889 to like 1884 1984. So they did like a whole town history. So there's a lot of pictures there. Even the Eckharts, there were pictures in there from their store back in the day. And then the lodge, I just started creating one. So I went through and I printed out a lot of the old newspaper articles. We've even gone to print out pictures of former Masons that were members of that lodge.
Oh, wow.
We just recently got a picture of it back in the 1900s. So it looked really cool. It had the horses and wagons out in front of it. So we are, when I'm out there at the end of the month, we're planning on going to the County Historical Society and see what other information we can dig up about the lodge and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, Wade actually asked a really good question, and I know this is something that happens very frequently. We're actually just got news today at one of our locations in Louisiana, the courthouse that we investigated at back in January with our friends over at Louisiana Spirits. They invited us in, and they are going through a reconstruction of the courthouse, and the spirit activity has gone up tremendously. And Wade was wanting to know, when you were making the minor renovations, such as in the kitchen, did you notice an uptick in spirit activity?
Didn't really notice an uptick on things. I just, I think, well, like one thing, we were doing some spackling of a wall, and I got an EVP that says that looks very elegant. So
Well, at least they were nice.
You're probably like, what are they doing? Like, I don't know how long spackling's been around. So, they're standing and putting spackle on. But I really haven't noticed. I think more that the activity that they've been getting is becoming more that they're comfortable with me being around them, people coming around and being with them, learning the equipment. I think
knowing that you're going to take care of the home.
Right.
And it was a home before. So knowing that someone's still continuing to care for it and not completely demolishing it or tearing everything down, but trying to, again, keep that historical integrity about the home. I believe it's respect when it comes to a lot of spirits, and they look at you as family. That generation has moved on, and you now have, given and helped preserve their home. So they respect you, and they may behind your back tell you that is a gaudy wallpaper, but
I don't know. They've been nice lately. I was waiting for her to say something.
Don't make
that looks like crap.
Yeah, we had a funny story. I went as a psychic medium that was at one of the conventions I was at. He didn't know me from Adam, and I didn't tell him anything about my house. He knew nothing. But he just kind of was mentioning, I like going into places after, either before teams, and then we collaborate, see if we get the same stuff. And I said, oh man, I'd really like to read on my house. And it's like all of a sudden he like locked eyes with me, and he just started talking about my house and just like stuff that like nobody would ever know about the house. But my favorite thing that he told me, and as you know, we re-wallpapered everything. We did everything. I've never wallpapered a day in my life. We YouTubed on how to do this. He just said, he goes, yeah, somebody in the house was wallpapering, didn't really know what they were doing, and the spirits were laughing. They thought it was so funny. So it's like, then he just kind of is like, okay, you believe his validity, because how would he know I even did that? Because me and my husband, we argued a lot, how it is when people don't know what they're doing and stuff. And
especially on YouTube DIYs.
Yes, and I'm sure they probably really did enjoy watching us and laughing. So, but then also you think back and go, oh, man, that's creepy. They're like watching us.
They're always watching.
I know, it's crazy, but yeah. And my husband's actually seen an apparition. All the years I've been investigating, I've seen shadow figures, but I've never seen a full blown apparition. And he's not a big ghost person. He respects what I do. He does believe in ghosts, but he's not like into investigating, and so he finds it boring actually. But he was like walking in the front door carrying a box, and he looked up at the stairs, and he said there was a woman with like medium brown hair like I had. She had white on. He says for a split second I thought it was you. I looked away, I looked back, she's gone.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I was like, really, after all these years, you do 1 year and you get to see one.
He sees it, you don't.
Yeah, it was like, oh no, we're gonna keep her guessing. Definitely. Well, so for the Boyd House, they can actually book as well at www.boydhouse217.com. And it actually has some gorgeous photos of the interior of the home as well. It's amazing how you guys have kept even the aesthetics of the home Victorian like. So that is amazing. as we wind down, we would like to take this second to, ask everyone how they can find your locations, Instagram, Facebook, and how they can reach out to you if they have any questions.
Yeah, again, you can find both the Boyd House and the Masonic Lodge on Facebook. You just Google Boyd House or Facebook message. And then also we have our YouTube channel too for ST.Croix Paranormal. You can go there and see like all of our places we've investigated, our videos we put out, a lot of information, a lot on the Boyd House. We do have currently right now the one and only video out of the lodge. So it's got a lot of really cool stuff there. But yeah, our website, theboydhouse217.com or the Masonic1861.com.
Wonderful, wonderful. And as we close, Wade actually said, most times if you have spirits that are territorial, they want to keep things as they are. I feel nothing demonic or dark, mostly just territorial. There is a dominant, mature female in the upper floors. She rules the roost, so to speak, just from the feelings I am picking up. And what a nice show. And thank you, Wade. That's that grandmother spirit that I was picking up on. It feels like she's like, leave me be, let me rest.
Yes, definitely know there's a dominant female there.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Like there is a very dominant female there, and she's like, this is my house. You don't get to just come in here and take over. You do what I tell you to.
And then she laughs at you while you're trying to fix
wallpaper.
Like, see, I told you not to mess with that. This is what happens. You should have just left it alone. Yes. Well, thank you, Jill, so much. We will definitely be in touch, and we will try to get up there to the Masonic Lodge before the Paracon in October, and you will actually be there as well. So we will get to see you there at the Paracon.
Yes, definitely. I will search you out.
Yeah, we're so excited. It's going to be so amazing.
Nice to meet you in person.
I know. So if anybody wants to investigate these locations, the websites, I will again share those here in a little bit. I will post this video with a reel, and you'll be able to have the hyperlinks for both of the websites, and you will be able to book the locations there. So let's fill these places up. We have to support our paranormal investigators who are working tirelessly to preserve these properties for us. So everybody go out, make sure you go and follow the Boyd House and the Masonic Lodge, 1861 Masonic Lodge. And thank you again, Jill, for having us. And we will see you in October.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Thank you all so much for coming out for our 5th episode of Paranormal Coffee Talk. And we will actually be back next week. So we will be back to back instead of every other Wednesday starting next week. So we look forward to seeing you all again on Wednesday. And Jill, if you want to hang out a little bit backstage, and we will be back with you in just a second.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, everyone. We are going to wind down here. Thank you, everyone. We have had quite a few amazing people on here. We had Stan from Web Paranormal on here with us. We had JP. We got to do the JP.
Oh, hold on.
Hold on. Oh,
Look,
she did it.
That's JP.
We love you, JP. And then we had our haunting angels. We had Sean Daniel from Suncoast Films and Suncoast Paranormal. We had our Louisiana Spirits folks here with us tonight. And Jamie Lynn, thank you for you'll have to let us know how everything goes. And we need to get you on the show as well. Tracy, love you, dear. And Mom, Diane was here. Carol's mom, my adopted mommy. And then we had Wade Kirby. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out and supporting us. And we will see you all next week on another episode of Paranormal Coffee Talk.
Good night.
Good night.